Yeah, the Dallas Cowboys came into this season as the favorites to win the NFC East. Remember, they hired Super Bowl winning coach Mike McCarthy, and he was supposed to bring them to heights that they hadn't reached under Jason Garrett. And then the defense, historically bad. The O-line crumbled, and the Week 5 injury to Dak. What the heck happened? The Cowboys are now one of the worst teams in the NFL. We recently spoke with two Cowboy legends, DeMarcus Ware and Darren Woodson, and we asked them about the state of the franchise and specifically what has gone so horribly wrong on defense. We'll start with my conversation with Woodson.
Well, there's a little bit, Rafi. That's a good question, man, and we're all trying to figure that out. But I would start with trying to understand what Mike Nolan is trying to get accomplished as a defensive coordinator. He came in with a hybrid scheme. This team is running a 34 scheme and a 43 scheme at the same time, with only a 43 personnel. So there's some confusion there. And look, I get it. Sometimes you're going to get beat physically. And that's just a part of the game in the NFL, like the physical makeup and, just getting handled sometimes, the team just dominating physically. But this team has made mental mistake after mental mistake to compound the physical mistakes as well. So, for them to try to overcome some of these things, it's just been it's been an avalanche of problems.
Is it that clear from the outside? And does that mean that, inside the front office of the Cowboys and with the coaching staff, they understand this problem as well? Or are they not seeing this?
No, the eye in the sky don't lie. The eye in the sky definitely doesn't lie. And the Jones family understands where the problems are right now. The coaching staff understands defensively where the problems are right now. And it starts with, look, I've always looked at this team and said, look, they're giving good effort. They are trying to give effort. They're running to the ball. That's not the problem that I'm seeing. The problem that I'm seeing is physically they're trying to play a scheme in which they don't have that personnel. The linebackers are not plug the whole 34 guys. They're trying to plug holes. They're run around players. They're 43 guys. This is not the scheme, and they're absolutely thinking before reacting. So it's, in this game, you can't think through the process. You just have to react naturally to what your responsibilities are. These defensive guys are not doing that.
Winning can mask everything, and it's hard to win when you don't have your starting quarterback that you have that franchise tag on. So, I guess, how does this team overcome and move forward with Dak?
Look, you got to get him healthy. He has to get healthy first. And then, look, this is a business. And, the saddest thing was that you saw Dak Prescott go down this season and not have that long-term contract that he was, hoping to have. And he bet on self. And because it's a business, when you get hurt, you have to come back to square one and figure out, okay, what does this look like moving forward? And that's what the Jones family is going to have to do. Look, I'm a big, Ralphie, I'm a huge Dak Prescott fan. I watch this guy, office outside of the Cowboys facility. I can look down at the practice field every day and watch what they do in the offseason. And you can't tell me there's been one player that has worked out and done the things that Dak Prescott has done. He's a leader on the football field. He's played extremely well. Heck, every time they roll out, every week they roll out, he should be making more money because I'm seeing the product of Andy Dalton and that offense, and Dak would definitely lift this offense and play at a different level. So he's making more money as time goes on. I've seen players like DeMarcus Lawrence get paid, Jalen Smith get paid, Zeke get paid. Their number one guy they have not taken care of with a long-term deal. You have to take care of.
Of course, Crown Royal wants those fans, maybe even especially some of those Cowboys fans, to take a water break here. What's the meaning of this message and this campaign, Darren?
Well, Crown Royal, Rafi, I partnered with Crown Royal and wanted to partner with them because I believe their water break campaign is an important one. I've dedicated my football career to staying in the game, and I'm excited to support Crown Royal as well because their message is about drinking moderately and drinking responsibly through this process. And one thing about Crown Royal, man, I want to get this message out there. We talk about serving our community. Crown Royal does a great job of getting into the local community, specifically here in Dallas, and giving back and serving the community.
Now, while I caught up with Woodson, our NFL reporter Jory Epstein connected with DeMarcus Ware. Here's what he had to say about this broken Cowboys defense.
How closely have you been watching this team, and what do you see as the biggest issues on defense right now?
I see a lot of guys out there and not knowing where they need to be. They're playing very, very hard, but with the pandemic hitting, there was an identity that was built during the offseason when a new coach comes in. Usually the new coach is able to implement his mentality, you know, how the play should be played. And when I'm just talking about from a defensive standpoint, and guys don't know where to fit because they didn't get that offseason of the OTAs and mini camps or training camps of getting that feel of different plays of how things should happen. And because I see the guys playing really hard. I do. I see them playing really hard, but all of a sudden, when someone stunts underneath and the outside linebacker is supposed to be in that spot, he's not there. So now there's like a miscommunication to where now that person that should be there is not there anymore. So the team is playing how they should, but here, the mental preparation that should have been in the offseason, I think is hindering them a little bit.
For sure. And see, when I see that, I agree. And I remember we were even talking back in May, you were saying, I think that this switch from a 4-3 to a more hybrid was, you were talking about how it would cater really well to guys like Randy Gregory, Alden Smith, et cetera. Why do you think there has been this mental block when I'm watching Joe Judge's Giants go to Seattle and they're a new coach too, and Matt Rule's got his team playing hard, and Kevin Stefanski's in his first year as a head coach. Where do you see the difference, or what's so difficult about changing coaching staffs?
I think when you had like a Marinelli in there, like Marinelli was more like a steak and potatoes guy, right? I'm talking about like 4 guys up front, and we're going to beat you up front. And we're going to run games, and it's going to be very simple up front. The cornerbacks and linebackers, they're going to do a lot of the work when it comes to the run. But now when you switch to more of a hybrid type defense, the linebackers are actually becoming more of interior guys that have to now take on those guards. They're not used to that, right? The corners have to now come up and make plays and contain, but also figure out what coverage that they're in at the same time. So it's a lot more put on the players instead of a one-track mind of the defensive line. You go straight up the field and the linebackers and cornerbacks make it right. Now there's responsibilities where like a Alden Smith or DeMarcus Lawrence has to drop. So I got to drop back in coverage against one of these fast wide receivers and play in space while this inside linebacker now has to rush the passer, which they have never rushed the passer before. So it's like, you got to be able to, be interchangeable. I remember when I played, being interchangeable in these defenses, that's what makes them great. So sometimes it runs back into personnel. Is it the right personnel for what you're running?
How much of a difference could you tell when the guy with the headset in his helmet knew where to line everyone up? I mean, because that's one of the things that I think Sean Lee has been so good at for a lot of years is that even as his athleticism, I mean, he's still super athletic, but even as he's had some of these injuries slowing him down, I just feel like there have been times when he wasn't in the game versus when he was, that we could see everyone's in their right spots and anticipating better when Sean Lee is out on the field. How much did that make a difference when you were playing?
Yeah, that makes a big difference. Usually there's one guy that's out there, usually the middle linebacker or outside linebacker, that's telling everybody, first of all, run pass, what situation that they're in, but also saying this is the play that they're about to run. 90% of the time on 3rd and 8, 90% of the time on 3rd and 2, they run this. Hey guys, and everybody look at their keys. But again, I don't see a lot of that.
Right.
A lot of that communication of where the defensive line, they're holding up this right here and saying, hey, let's run. And this right here is telling all the linebackers is run because that's what we said it was. Yeah, the communication of like the Sean Lees being out there is key. And you have to have that guy out there.
DeMarcus, why don't you telling us about your Driven to Win app? How did you decide to create it, and what are you most excited about for it?
It's a Driven to Win is a professional driven science app and what I mean by that, the methodology that's used by professional athletes is now put inside of a cell phone with enhanced device mentality. So it's like you're using, a 3D model, you're using augmented reality, you're using voice capture to create an experience using software with the iPhone to where now you actually get a real trainer in your hand. And it really just came about when I was retired, 3 years out, my body was beat up. I had 3 back surgeries. I had 2 neck surgeries, and I really couldn't walk. So I built a little small gym, this little brownstone that I had in South Lake, Texas, and started going through and getting certifications from how to be a functional movement screening, testing coach, all the way to a certified personal trainer. I was learning some MAT, which is muscle activation therapy, trying to just figure out how did I perform in the NFL, and I found that out really. And so it just gotten to a point now that I'm able to give that to the masses.